do part 3, the windshield, which can be kind of difficult. So we're going to go ahead and start a sketch. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to place a couple points. Really what we have, if you're looking at your diagram, you have a straight line on the horizontal straight line on the bottom. That's the easiest part. But all three of those next sections are actually curves. So that first section on the left side is a 6 radius curve, and then you have a sharper 0.4 radius curve, and then another 6 radius curve down the back side. So what I want to do is I actually want to place some points in between the 3 curves where they're at. So the first one, that's kind of deceiving, the drawing. It says 0.640 up, and that's not a straight line though. They're on the left side. That's an actual curve, but that point is 0.640 up. So what I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to come up here. I'm going to actually grab a point, which I don't use a whole lot, but I'm going to this time. And I'm going to come up here somewhere. I'm not going to click anywhere. I'm just going to click Tab. And my Y value needs to be 0.640. So 0.640 from the x-axis. And then my X value is how far over to the right. Well, you see it's if you look on the bottom, it's 3.040 all the way over to that far right point. And everything's measured from that far right point. So if you look at the point we're trying to put on there, it's 3.010 from the far right point also. So if you subtract those, you'll see that it's only 0.03 to the right. But what we can do, and just to show you that we can do this, I can go ahead and have Inventor do the math for me. So I could do 3.040 minus 3.010. And that's pretty easy math to do in our head, but sometimes it's not as easy to do real quickly. So you can always just put in a math problem there into Inventor, and it'll figure out where it's supposed to be. Tab, and then return, and you'll see that I have a point right there. It's kind of hard to see that green point there. Okay, and so now I want to put this other point in here. So I'm going to click another point, and I'm going to see, where do I want that one? I want so that vertical distance is 1. So I'm going to come over here to the Y and put in a 1. And the X would be, again, I could do 3.040 minus 2.550 from the far right side. Return, and there's my next point right there. Okay, and then of course I'll go all the way down to my final point, which is be over here. So what I can do is I can start drawing this now. So I'm going to come up here, I'm going to get a line. I'm going to put in this bottom line first. So I'm going to come out here, and it's supposed to be 3.040. And let me return on that. Zoom in here a little bit. Let's move it over. Okay. So let's see, where's my point? There's a point and there's a point. Okay, so now what I can do is I can make some arcs. So I'm going to make it's called a 3-point arc. If I click on this, you'll see it's 3-point arc, which is kind of deceiving because it's you click on the first point, which is down here. Click on the second point. We're bending it. It's going to be bent out a little bit, and then what you're putting in is your basically your center point, your radius to your center point, which is a 6. Hit Tab, and then hit Return, and so now I got an arc in there. I need another arc, so I'm going to do on this center point, on this end point, and where's my other point? There it is. I'm going to arc that out a little bit, and whoops. Guess your mouse can't move by itself. 0.4 is the radius there. Okay, and whoops, 0.4 radius, return. And then I'm going to get my last arc, which will be on that point. This one's pretty easy. All the way down to this point, bow it out a little bit, and we want 6. Return. Okay, and there I have my profile. Now, there's something we're going to have to actually do here, otherwise later when we fill it these sides here, it's not going to actually work. So when you have these arcs here, you need to make sure that they're actually smooth right into each other. They're actually going to be connected. So the way we do that is a geometric constraint. We go up to the tangent. Tangent will constrain curves together. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to click this and that's going to constrain them together, and I'll do this and that. And that'll make it nice and smooth around there, and that's all a nice and enclosed thing. So, I'm done with that. All right, so I'll click Finish Sketch, and then we're going to extrude it. Let's see, what are we extruding it to? Extrude 2.55 inches. 2.55 inches. So I'll click on the green check mark there, and I have that. So now I'm going to fillet these sides here, and I'm going to fillet them to 0.5 inches. So I click on the fillet, and see if I come down here and I click this, it selects the whole edge all the way around. That wouldn't have happened if I didn't constrain those tangent things together there. So that's important to remember. So I'm going to click on that, and what do I want? I want a 0.5. And I can click on this other edge too, because I want that one to be 0.5, and that's good, and I have it. Okay. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around the bottom side, and I'm going to shell this out. Here's another thing that we learned. This is a really cool tool. Click Shell. Select that surface, and I'm shelling to 0.07. So, whoops. So basically, what that'll do, 0.07. is that will basically dig all the matter out of the object and leave a shell of 0.07 inches thick. So if I kind of spin it around here, you can see it's all shelled out now. So we got that first part there. Okay, pretty cool. All right, next part is a little tricky. We need to put a kind of a connector piece down from inside this that allow this windshield thing to basically hook into the wooden block that we made in the last part. We put these automobile block parts together. Okay, so to do this, I need an offset plane. I need to. I'm going to come down here and start an object and extrude it up into the thing, and so I need to offset a work plane. So I'm going to come up here to where it says planes, and I'm going to put on a new plane. I want an offset plane, and then I have to select the surface that I want to offset the plane from, and I want to offset it from this bottom of this thing right here. So I'm going to click that, and you see the arrow coming out, and it says how far out do you want to offset a plane for you to draw on. And if you see on that third drawing there, that it is 0.67 down below the bottom of the windshield. So I'm going to go 0.67 down. And so now I have this new thing that I can draw on. So I'm going to start a sketch. I'm going to make sure I got that plane selected. I'm going to be able to draw on this plane. I'm going to rotate it around like this. Okay. So one thing that I like to do on this is when I have an offset plane. So this part I already made is back behind this. So a lot of times I like to project the geometry, and then I can come in here and I can click on like that geometry, and that'll actually then project it, see in yellow lines, onto my screen. So I can actually now use this geometry to build stuff off of also. Okay, which is important because I need to put in this rectangle now, and to do that, I'm gonna put in make a rectangle. I'm gonna make a construction rectangle, and I'm gonna come down here, so that I can see that dotted line right there, and I'm gonna make a triangle in that is 0.68 in by 0.29 up. That's a construction rectangle. to show me where my point is to make my big rectangle here. So I'm going to click construction off now, and I'm going to come into this, and I'm going to make my rectangle, which is 1.54 by 1.97. You should definitely check these numbers, see if I did it right. I probably messed it up. I think that's about right. To get that rectangle on there. Okay, and you'll see that these are curved. There's a 0.15 fillet on these, so I'm going to click fillet 0.15, and then click that and 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 that. You'll also notice that on this interior part there's little ridges. You know, there's kind of a ridge here in the center, a ridge here in the center, and two here. I'm skipping those. If you want to put them in and really practice your skills, and that'd be impressive, I would be, I'd hold you in high regard, but I'm going to skip that part and not actually put that in there, and you don't have to if you don't want to. Okay, so good, I have that. So I need to finish the sketch, and I need to extrude that. I'm going to select that part right there, and we obviously want to go the other way. But I don't want to go all the way up through like that. So if you come down here and click on this little arrow right here, it'll say extrude it to the next face/body, which is awesome. If I glue that, that'll just take it right up to where I want to go. So that's pretty nice. Really, really nice. Remember when I first discovered that? I was pretty happy. Click that. Okay. So now what I need to shell this part out here too. So I'm going to click shell and select that, and I think it's still 0.07, right? Yeah. Okay, so I'll do that. That'll be good. Sometimes people don't like this, to see these work planes. If you don't, I'm one of those. So I go up to the work plane. Right here is the work plane in my browser, and I just right click on that and I turn the visibility off. Once I'm done with it, I like to just get it off of there. Okay, one thing you want to do is come up here. I think we'll come up here and maybe change a color. I haven't been changing colors on these, but you can clearly do that. So I could do a transparent or a clear green. There, look at that. Okay, so there we go. Check it out. Pretty nice looking part. Of course, if you really want to be good, you could get those ridges on these inside things. And of course, you also need to put your initials like on it somewhere, maybe right in there, every time you do one of these parts.